Welcome to Gimme 3 from Technology Business Research. My name is Patrick Heffernan, and every once in a while we talk to our colleagues, we talk to each other about something that we've written, and we ask 3 questions. So today I have my colleague Kelly Lesiczka with us, and she just published a full report on HCLT. And so I wanted to ask 3 questions after having read the report and get a little bit further into it. So Kelly, I know it's deep in the report, but there's a whole slide about the RBTC, relationship beyond the contract.
Yeah.
What exactly is that? What does it mean? And is it really something that makes HCLT different?
Yeah, so HCLT's RBTC approach, it's just their way of approaching their client engagements. I think something that's a little different from them is it kind of focuses more on the contract structure with more of a cost focus, which it helps the client as well as helping HCL and make sure that they can adhere to certain margin standards. But I think looking at the client, it also does help them because it does, they try to build the relationship beyond just the service engagements, beyond just the contract deals. I think especially during the pandemic, it kind of set them apart a little bit because they made sure that they could work with their clients around their immediate issues, but also kind of helping them future-proofing and kind of that future planning. I think it just helps them a bit more with their contract management, the way that they look beyond just the top level and more of the client, who they are and how they can work best with them.
Well, that makes sense. In the IT services space, and especially for the India-centric vendors, it's always been a kind of transactional relationship. So to position themselves as beyond the contract. So excellent. The other thing that jumped out at me, we always look at acquisitions and alliances as strategies that the companies that we cover use to grow. It seems that HCLT has leaned very heavily into the alliances and has done very little activity of late in acquisitions. Is that going to continue, or do you think in 2023 we'll see some more acquisitive activity out of HCLT?
Yeah, I think looking at their acquisition strategy, I don't think it'll dramatically change during 2023. I don't think they'll be more acquisitive than they have before. I think if an opportunity presents itself, they definitely take advantage of that. Some of the areas they look at for acquisitions is digital consulting, and then just to build out their expertise around engineering and R&D. But I think the partnerships have become more integral to their portfolio and their go-to-market strategy, and not just with the technology firms such as Google and Microsoft. I think they're also looking to work with those smaller firms and kind of build out that smaller expertise around different industries, but also looking at sustainability, looking at the different digital and cloud technologies. But I think if an acquisition does come up where they can build AI or if an acquisition presents itself that can help them with those digital or engineering, I think it'll happen.
Right. So what you're saying is they're leaning more into alliances. It's not a strategic choice not to do acquisitions. It's a strategic choice to look for the right fit, not just acquire for the sake of acquiring and gaining either market share or growth. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
All right, that makes sense. So last question. Throughout the whole report, you reference ESG, in particular the E part and sustainability. And I know we had a briefing from them around their sustainability efforts. And what I'm really curious about is, because you had it all throughout the report, is what HCLT is doing around sustainability, is it really different than what McKinsey is doing or what Wipro is doing or what anybody else is doing around sustainability?
Yeah, I think when you look at it from a top level, it all seems like they're doing the exact same, especially around the carbon and energy targets. Like T-Systems released yesterday, and it's a similar idea. They want to be carbon neutral by 2030, for example, but then net zero, so they're taking more out than they're putting out by 2040. And I feel like that's kind of standard across a lot of the companies. But when looking a bit deeper at how exactly they're doing it, I think HCL is a little bit different with the way that they're integrating sustainability across the business. Through the program that they're using to help train, it's voluntary, which I think is different for a lot of the firms where it's not, they're forcing sustainability across. They're kind of integrating it more where it seems needed and where it's welcome. And I think kind of encouraging its employees to do it, but not forcing them to, it kind of will help them bring out better staff that can support this and integrate it within the engagements a bit easier.
So to be clear, so part of their strategy is about their own talent and making sure that their own talent is sort of bought into it. Not assuming their talent is bought into it, but making sure that their talent has the training, has the details and all that. Yeah?
Yeah, because they can even choose the different courses. It's more role-based
Okay,
courses, but they can
okay.
choose water or they can choose to focus on climate.
Right.
But it's all voluntary, which I think
Okay.
really does set them apart.
All right. One bonus question. Is Daybreak the best dog you've ever had?
Oh, I can't choose. They're all so sweet.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. This was great. And keep looking for these Gimme 3s. And if you have suggestions on other reports we should talk about or other vendors we should talk about, please reach out. Thanks.